I slapped my boss's wife in a marble foyer, not out of rage, but like hitting an alarm that had been screaming inside my ribs for months. The sound cracked off the chandelier, and for the first time in that house, I didn't shrink. My name is Ray Jackson. I clean for people who think money can muffle truth. And that morning at the Hollis place in Seacliff, Mrs. Hollis leaned in with that rich lady whisper that cuts. Told me girls like me come to dust and end up taking what isn't ours. Her hand started rising, and mine just moved faster, open palm, one clean. Pop, a wake-up, yeah. That happened. Grant Hollis stood on the stairs, looking like a man who's been arguing with himself for years. Staff went still, a spoon. Hit tile, my palm hummed, and my heart sprinted, but I held the line because some days, every option is bad, and you still have to pick the one that lets you look in a mirror. What nobody in that chandelier silence knew was that my 6-year-old Nova was over at St. Bridget's counting ceiling tiles between seizures, that I wear a blue bandana with RJ my mama stitched, that I took this job because rent doesn't care about pride and insurance doesn't accept apologies. And also because I'd heard Mrs. Hollis runs on jealousy, like espresso staff come and go, the house smiles, the house chews, the house asks for more. Grant's voice dropped down the stairs. Ray, what did you do? And a part of me wanted to spit out the whole truth about venom that seeps into grout and stays there. But George the butler gave me a tiny headshake that said, pick your battlefield, live to fight the right fight. So I swallowed the speech, and the day kept moving. They called it a hearing for 6 o'clock. That's what rich houses do when they need a ritual around a mess. Juliet Hollis floated upstairs in a cloud of perfume that smelled like lavender and warning. Grant shut himself in the library, where a bronze compass paperweight held down divorce papers like a prop from a life he couldn't steer. And I stood at a sink running hot water over already clean crystal until my hands stopped shaking. George slid me contraband coffee. Decent folks lie about being fine. That's how we get through the fancy days, and I nodded, checked my phone, read my sister's text. Nova asked for you again, fever's stubborn, pressed my bandana into my palm until the tremor had somewhere to sit. 6 hits like slow thunderstaff line the walls pretending to be furniture. Juliet has her little leather notebook. She writes grievances like grocery lists. And she reads out insubordination, striking an employer, inappropriate familiarity. But when Grant lifts his hand, the room obeys. He says he'll decide in the morning. She laughs without humor. You're giving the help a court date now. The chandelier trembles. The bay outside turns that iron New England color that tells you to know your place, and the house holds its breath. After I deliver towels to the kids' playroom and find Theo engineering a city out of blocks, while Piper maps the roads like she's mayor of Order Airport or hospital. I ask, pointing to the long blue rectangle runway. Theo says with emergency lights in case the storm gets lost. My chest tilts. I slide 2 heavy cookbooks under their control tower and tell them most things don't fall if you widen the base. Piper tries not to smile and fails. Theo says I can come back tomorrow if Dad says it's fine. You know what I mean? Kids learn adult weather. Around midnight, the house tests me a tick from the kitchen. 1 burner not quite off parchment browning. In a forgotten skillet, I crack a window. Move the pan, run the vent. Whisper thank you to whoever invented low heat. Theo shows up in superhero pajamas, eyes wide. Is there a fire? Not if we don't clap. I grin, kneeling. Help me with the window. Good hands. Steady houses. Piper glides in too, braid crooked, trying not to look scared. I warm milk with honey like my mama used to, calm lightning in our chests, and that's when Juliet storms in with silk and fury. What did you do? Grant appears barefoot and sees it pan vent. Kid says she prevented a fire, and the air crackles. Anyway. Juliet hisses, you want to play mother in my kitchen, expect consequences, and I say, I'm not playing. I'm being a neighbor, I didn't plan that line, but sometimes your mouth tells the truth before your brain can dress it up. Next day, the security company upgrades the doorbell camera for the gala. George asks the tech to roll back footage from yesterday's landing. We watch a housekeeper push a cart. Then we watch Juliet exit her suite with that ruby-red perfume bottle, answer a call, set the bottle on a console, and float away, forgetting it existed. And later I hear Grant watched the same tape, and if you've ever lived under somebody else's narrative, you know what it means when the camera finally chooses your side. The gala shows up in tuxedos and good intentions. Chandeliers trapped in a white tent like constellations on leashes, photographers blinking like mechanical moths. And my job is what it always is, keep 1,000 small things from becoming one big thing. Grant gives a speech that swaps swagger for steady thanks, the household team. You see the shine because unseen hands make it, he says. And a woman with a bracelet the size of a mailbox leans into Juliet and whispers something that tastes like old prejudice. And then it happens, she pivots with her palm raised in that ugly old gesture that gets passed down like fine china. My body remembers hospitals and catches her wrist, and I do what I knew I'd do if it ever came to this again. One clean slap, not to hurt, to wake. The tent inhales security, Juliet says, and Grant steps between us with a calm. I didn't know he had stand down. She prevented a fire last night. She prevented another one right now, no more hands. The quartet stitches the room back together without lying to it. Service resumes. People pretend their shrimp toast is still the main event. My hand stings. My shame doesn't. After midnight, Grant tells me we'll talk in the morning. And when the house finally sleeps, St. Bridget's calls to say Nova drifted off under a paper crown the nurses made because kindness likes to look silly when it works. I cry into a stack of linen in the pantry. Where stainless doesn't judge, I sleep 2 hours. And by breakfast, I'm back to work because bills aren't sentimental. In the library, Grant asks for the whole truth, like the walls aren't listening. Why'd you slap her? And I tell him humiliation is a fire too. That I've spent a lifetime stepping back, and the edge finally said no more. That you can love a house and still stop it from burning down, he says. The board wants me gone. He doesn't know what decent looks like in a room like this. I tell him, decent isn't soft. It's pricey, but cowardice costs more. He nods like the truth cut, and it needed to, and he doesn't fire me. He moves me to the back wing for peacekeeping, and tells the agency we're not replacing staff. Then the twist hits from a different angle. I'm at the diner off Post Road, where the waitress calls everybody hon, and the coffee comes like medicine. The bell chimes, and Juliet slides into the booth across from me. No. Armor, raincoat, belted, fingers wrapped around a cup of tea, like heat could make a decision for her. I'm not here for forgiveness, she says. I'm here for instructions on how to talk to my kids about departures. That's the line that cracks me open. In a good way, I tell her truth in short sentences. You can repeat, without changing nouns, that kids hear you're shaking more than your words. And it's fine that I've seen 20 seconds of a different. Her when she plays piano or holds a cereal bowl steady and starts. Don't care if you deserve them. They care what you do next. She almost smiles, says she's stepping back from the board later. The hospital calls with an anonymous donation to Nova's unit that smells like a man finally spending courage instead of practicing it, and I stand in the pantry and let gratitude wash my face. Then I get back to work, because grateful people still have shifts. After that, it's small decencies. Stubborn ones. The kids and I keep building towers with wide bases. We count thunder with windows cracked and discover fear gets bored when you don't feed it. George teaches me to time a room by breath. I write 3 rules on a card and tape it inside the broom closet, where only workers look. If you're tired, say so. If you're hungry, eat. If you're scared, tell the truth, Grant makes me. Household coordinator with the authority to say no when safety or sanity's on the line. I swap smoke detector batteries myself. George calls it a revolution. I call it Tuesday. Juliet practices unfancy apologies with pancakes and later waffles. The first one rips and she swears, then laughs. Theo declares syrup a civil right. Piper negotiates the pour like a Secretary of State. The smoke alarm chirps once and Theo points the spatula at it. Not today, sir. Juliet actually laughs and doesn't chase it back down her throat. One night, she stands in the doorway with Sati tucked under her arm. Hair not sprayed into submission, asks if playing at the hospital is performance or presence, I tell her. Start where you can keep going. And when she misses the left hand, she breathes and finds it. And I swear, you could feel the house learn a new language. No bow on it, Seacliff still reads gossip, like scripture. Some folks called me unprofessional and ungrateful. Others said, hero, and I don't own that. What I own is the moment your body has to tell a room the truth, because your voice can't carry it alone. It will cost you, and it will buy you back. The kids drew a picture for me, 2 stick figures with a red line between a raised hand and an open one. They labeled the red line, stop the open hand, go. I keep it tucked behind the laminated checklist, so when the day tries to shrink me, I remember what my hands are for. Last scene, because stories like to circle where they began. Weeks later, Juliet comes down in a simple blouse, no notebook, sets a paper bag on the counter, croissants from the good place. Don't tell the staff I bought them, let them think the house did. I grin because the house should claim good decisions whenever it can. She glances at the waffle iron and asks if I burn the first one tomorrow. Will you lie? And I tell her no. But I'll show you how to scrape it out and start again. She looks at my palm like it remembers. How's it feel? Like punctuation, I say. Not a wound, a period where a sentence needed to end, so a better one could start. And maybe that's all. Any of us get a clean end, a decent beginning, the space in between where we choose who we are. So tell me straight. Was I right to slap her? Was I wrong? If it was your kitchen, your paycheck, your kid, would you have stood with your hand open or waited for someone else to make it safe? Drop your take in the comments. Tell me what you've seen. Quiet injustices, loud reckonings, moments when someone told the truth and the room didn't know where to look. Do we put decency before decorum? Can a house learn to listen? I'm reading and somebody out there needs your story tonight.